All right, I'll go ahead and talk to Mace Tobin, and we're just going to do it on normal. This raid's a little bit more intense, but it's not a really tough raid. But I will say that the last couple times I've ran it, it has been horrifyingly laggy. So if that happens, there's not really anything we can do. And this raid does have a failure mechanic that is going to wipe us out if we can't move. So if you lag out and can't move, we could fail very easily. So we're just going to do the best we can. You know, if we have one lag fail, we'll probably try again. But if we have two, then we'll probably just give up. But even though we had horrifying lag the last 2 times I've run this, we did manage to finish. And this raid...
Well, luckily, the red lights lag also.
Yeah, I know, right? How lucky are we that those lag too? So this raid is broken up into like 4 different parts. And 2 of the parts are optionals, but we will do the optionals because they give us an extra chest. And so we're first going to go in... into like a medium-sized room up ahead behind that barrier, and there's going to be 2, well, one at a time. There's going to be some hunter red name guy on the left, and we're going to have to beat him down. And then after that, there's going to be a hunter red name guy on the right. We're going to beat him down, and there's going to be trash that spawns the whole time. So it's good to have maybe a couple folks dedicated to trash. So maybe like Twiz and Soul Mine, if you guys could focus on trash, that would be cool.
Copy.
Thank you. And then you also gonna want to have a tank. The trash is going to be like archers. There's going to be like these hounds. And then if we don't beat... I don't know if the red lights happen for the first guy, but they definitely can happen for the second guy. And so when we get to the second guy, I don't want to beat him down right away because I want to show the red lights before we get to the end fight. So if we don't beat the second guy down fast enough, he's going to call for like these spirits to spawn, and there's going to be like anywhere from like, I don't know, 4 to 8 of them, maybe even 9 or 10. I don't know how many there can be, but it's not the same number every time. And these spirits will spawn in the zone, and there'll be these red lights that come down from the sky, and they'll look like the beams of light from like Big B's hands. Can anybody... I don't have any Big B's hands on this tune. Can anybody drop a Big B's hand just so we can... It doesn't matter what color. There you go. See that those red beams of light there? Thank you guys for being prepared when I wasn't. So the red beams of light are going to look like these, okay? And they'll be like these spirits standing there where the red lights are. And we have to deactivate the lights by standing next to the spirit. And you have to stay there until the spirits go away. So when you step to the light will disappear, but if you leave, the light will reappear. We need all the lights to be disabled. If a light spawns where somebody's already standing, it won't go out. You need everybody to get away from it and then step back and do it. That's kind of a pain in the butt, but you know, it's just a nuanced mechanic that you need to be aware of. For every light, there'll be a countdown timer. It'll count from 10 down to 1. When it gets down to 0, for every light that's not covered, for every light that's still lit, we're all going to take damage. So if people aren't covering these lights, we're all going to take a ton of damage. And this is a mechanic that, you know, in pugs where, you know, people either don't know what they're doing or they think your DPS is too important to break away from the boss to cover lights, you know, you could take a lot of damage and have a party wipe really easily. It's very important that everybody covers the lights. It doesn't matter how awesome your DPS is. Everybody needs to cover the lights. Because you can have like 10 of these things, you know, so basically everybody but the tank has to break off and cover these lights. Super important.
Important to note here that these Big B's hands, especially the red ones, do look like the lights. So absolutely do not use Big B hands in the raid, or you'll have people running to a Big B hands to cover a light that isn't really there.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would be very deceptive to put these red lights, to put these red hands down in there. Probably people have trolled this raid by doing that. I never thought about that. Once we beat down the first 2 hunter guys, and again, I don't want us to beat down the second hunter guy right away because I want us to see the red lights. After we beat those first 2 hunter guys down, there'll be a pause. At that point, we can activate the end fight and just be done with it really quick, but we would only get 1 chest. There's 2 side optionals, and we'll be able to take a moment to explain how the optionals work before each one. So let's go ahead and get let me do songs.
I know that in most raids it's frowned upon to bring in summons and pets, but this is actually the one raid that it actually is helpful, because the summons can actually draw aggro away from you for the trash, especially the laggy parts.
Really good point. This is a summons friendly raid. But you don't need to bring them out really till like the end fight. And there will be a pause before we get the end fight started. And we can shrine up before the end fight. There's one shrine in here that's accessible anytime after the first 2 hunter fights. Okay, everybody should have songs. Let's go. We're going to talk to Cho'Grim here and say to open up the barrier.
The Master of the Hunt has created
And now the
several
raid's locked.
for what he calls his tournament. Once you are
It's a very
prepared,
small raid. It's just this
enter
room and
the
2 side
arena.
rooms.
The Master of the Hunt nods to you from behind a barrier. Now that your group is
And those guys
assembled,
next to him,
the
hunt
first of the hunters
Master of the Hunt in the middle is the
joins
final
you in
boss, and the 2
arena.
guys on his side,
Senior Hunter
Oka,
enters
and then the other one are the ones, the first 2 red names we gotta fight.
with a grim
Go ahead and beat down Senior Hunter Oka. We can kill him as fast as possible.
and a skull-headed
But the next
hound
hunter is the one I want to
manifests
keep alive so we
nearby.
can experience the red lights. So we got 2 people on trash, 1 tank, and then everybody else can just beat on Senior Hunter Oka.
Staggered.
Okay, to the other side of the room. This guy's gonna do like a poison thingy dingy that if you use globes of invulnerability, it can block that effect on the melees.
Bested the first in the challenges.
I thought I had
Let's see how you fare.
a staff of arcane
Second,
power on
the
this tune.
apex hound rises once more,
I don't see it.
shaking off its apparent
Oh, there it is.
death. Death is only temporary. for the
So let's go and we can beat this guy down to like half, but then I want to like not kill him so that you can see what the red lights are like.
Catch their mark. Senior Hunter Mori arrives in the arena. She
No death timer on normal. No more DPS, no more DPS. Stop DPS. Stay out of the circles. So we're just gonna let him do the red lights here. I just want you. There you go. Red lights, red lights. Everybody cover a light. Notice the countdown timer. It's like an 8-bit number. Stay into the lights. See the one that spawned where the party was. Yeah, everybody has to step out and back in. So you can see we all just took damage because that light wasn't covered. Everybody would have had to step out and then step back in order to avoid taking that damage. But that's okay. You got to feel the damage. That was the damage from one red light. As you can go ahead and kill him. As you can imagine, if there was a bunch of those red lights not covered, we would all take a ton of damage, and you can have a party wipe really easy. It's so important that everybody steps away and helps with the red lights.
the Master of the Hunt.
Okay, at this point, the shrine's available, and we could start the end fight if we wanted to by talking to Cho'Grim, but what we're going to do is we're going to do the optionals to get an extra chest. I don't know why I'm held there. So I'm gonna talk to Cho'Grim and say bring on the extra challenge, and we're gonna do the maze first. We're gonna take constant cold damage here. This is where Fire Shield Red is really helpful. Fire Shield Red or some kind of cold damage mitigation. Did the wrong Fire Shield. There we go. So what we're doing is we're running through a hedge maze. There's gonna be some trash mobs, wood woads, and sprites. We're looking for the red name fairy, and we got to beat her down. Once we beat her down a little bit, she'll disappear and port somewhere else in the hedge maze, and we got to find her and beat her down again until she's dead. So just run through the maze and try to find her. If you find her, call her out, but on normal, we're going to have her beat down so fast before people can even get to you. Sometimes, oh, here she is in the
Found
north.
her.
Sometimes I like to just stand at the spawn locations because there's only like maybe 6 or 7 different spawn locations. And if you have people standing at them, they can call it out. But on normal difficulty, it's not. It's whatever you want to do. Here she is, just right around the corner. Refresh your fire shields. Fire shield red if you need. The places that she appears, you know, it's random, but like I said, there's like maybe 6 or 8 different preset locations that she will port to. Once she's dead, D doors will appear, and you just take that and it'll take you back to the main room so you don't have to find your way through the maze. And you can't cast D door in here. There is a teleport lock enforced in this raid, so. She can even be like right at the start as one of her spawn points. At the start of the hedge maze, that is. When this raid first came out, you could actually get on top of the hedge maze, and that made it a lot easier to find her, but you can't do that anymore. They put an invisible barrier there. Okay, D doors are up. Go ahead and take the D doors that take you back to the arena. Now we're going to do the trap room optional, which is to the west. Lots of traps. Some of them can be disabled. We're going to fight this big red cap. There's going to be trash mobs of harpies. Let the trash folks take them out. And just try to stay out of the traps as best as you can. If you can disable traps, go for it. Some people use the tactic of shield walling him at the door so that he doesn't keep running around. He can push you into the traps, so be careful. On normal, these traps aren't that big of a deal, but I encourage you to go ahead and get hit by them so that you can see what that feels like. During our teaching raids is a great time to experiment with this stuff so that you can learn it here instead of finding out in a pug. So I'm just going to go ahead and stand in. My tune is only like a 3rd lifer. This is not a character that I work on. He doesn't have a ton of past lives or Reaper points. Doing these optionals gets us an extra chest, and it is named.
Both Homer and Grex have been
Alright. Shrine up if you want to.
The final challenge.
Don't talk to Chogrum. That's going to activate the end fight. We got all the time in the world at this point, so if you had a bunch of people who were dead, you can take time to raise them, get shrined up, get buffed up and stuff. Any questions about any part of the raid at this point, because the end fight's going to go real quick. It's only going to take about a minute. Okay, everybody should have songs. Gijo's just going to tank, or Bolo Grub's just going to tank. I'm just going to choose start the final challenge. Bolo Grub's going to tank the boss in the center. He's going to do this special attack where he lays down like a purple rectangle, I think it is. And he's going to do like this phantom steed charge. Stay out of it. There's also going to be circles. Stay out of the circles.
He draws his
And basically everybody but the trash folks can just work on the boss.
The final
Circles, stay out of them. Lots of circles. Just beat down the Master of the Hunt as fast as possible. Red lights, everybody in them.
Red light.
more spectral figures appear throughout the arena.
You gotta get out of the red light and then back into it. Otherwise it doesn't turn off. So we had one that didn't get turned off. So we took a little bit of damage there, no big deal.
Knowing that you could join them.
Red lights, tons of red lights.
Red lights.
Cover red lights. Shoot, I stepped out of mine. Yep, I had too many lights not covered. And I made a mistake of stepping out of mine because I was getting attacked. But we win.
The Master of the Hunt.
Go ahead and use the shrine to raise yourself.
Then
Congratulations on your first Dryad and the Demigod. I mean, Hunter be hunted. If you have any questions about this raid, let me know. Otherwise,
I've not had a hunt
grab your loot,
exciting
and that's it for
me
today's event.
more. I look forward to our next meeting.
Both of these raids can be done in easily 15 minutes or less. Hell yeah, thanks for coming. I'm glad you could make it.